Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. I am neck deep in university work right now. My exams start in 2 days, but a new piece of information came out and it kind of flew under a lot of people's radars, and so I thought it would be really important to post this video and keep you guys up to date. I don't have a massive amount of time to theorize about the things I'm going to be talking about in this video, but I will do it at a later date, don't you worry, as soon as my exams are over. So without further ado, let's get into the topic at hand. There's a new image of Der Eisendrache that's been released. Now, it's the same image that we've seen before, except the colors have been tweaked slightly, and you can see that overall it's a little less granular. So it's a nice picture to have, even though it's pretty much the exact same thing that we've already seen a couple of times now. But there are two things I want to point out in this video. One, there's one pixel that we couldn't really make out before that is green, that wasn't really green in the previous ones, and so it looks to me like the gondola sort of type thing, the ski lift, is going to have some kind of green light notifying you, just like the Mob of the Dead gondola, that it is ready to call and ready to use so that you can go in it down to the town below the actual castle. So that's a pixel that I noticed. I spotted the difference between this picture and the previous picture, so I thought you might be interested in that. But the main reason I'm making this video is because of the fact that in the caption for this new image, this isn't from the main Call of Duty Twitter account, it's a Call of Duty account regardless though, they have tweeted the following: hard to infiltrate and even harder to escape. What is inside Griffin Castle? So that confirms that this castle is called Griffin Castle. Now, before I go any further, I want to make it very clear. This is not Griffin with an E-N castle, in the sense that it's not spelled Griffen, it's I-N. It's the exact same spelling as the spelling of the Moon base. Remember the map Moon from Black Ops 1, the final DLC pack, Resurrection? That station is called Griffin Station. There's also Eagle's Nest, but we won't be talking about that right now. So Griffin Station has been a thing in the community for a long time, a thing in the story rather, and now we have another Griffin something or other, but this time it's Griffin Castle, which is based on Hohenwerfer Castle, not on Griffin Castle in Austria. So, what's a griffin? Well, let's ask Google. Google tells us that it's a mythical creature with the head and wings of an eagle and the body of a lion, typically depicted with pointed ears and with the eagle's legs taking the place of the forelegs. So, that's what a griffin is. If you think that that's the relation that they're going for here, specifically an eagle with the body of a lion, then that's fine. By all means, you can make that assumption and that can be that. But we could, potentially, if we wanted it to, say, well, they've used the word griffin in the past very specifically for the base built on the moon, and so it only makes sense for this particular castle to therefore be linked to that moon base. And obviously, it would be completely silly to make that connection without also going, hold on a moment, there are loads and loads of rockets in the vicinity of Griffin Castle. So therefore, surely it's a very plausible link for there to be a connection between Griffin Castle sending rockets of who knows what, whether it's 115, there's 115 on the moon, so probably not, or something else entirely, supplies, building equipment, who knows, being sent to Griffin Station. I think that that is a very much plausible link. Personally, my opinion is as follows. Obviously, my opinion is just one opinion of many, and in the long run, it doesn't really matter because the facts and the intel come first, but regardless, my opinion is that this is pretty damn obviously a link that we need to follow up in more depth. It's not something that I can go into massive amounts of detail now, as I have already mentioned, but it's definitely worth consideration. 100%. The reasons are as follows. With Moon, we are left in a situation, oh man, this is the sort of stuff that when I'm talking about it, I get so happy because this is like the old school grassroots zombies storyline before Black Ops 2 came along and screwed everything up. So with Black Ops 1, we have this entire arc, this progression where Griffin has been experimenting on these characters. They don't really know what's going on. He's leading them throughout the entire Black Ops 1 story arc towards this final grand conclusion, from the giant at the end of World at War to Moon at the end of this second game in the series. And what happened is, well, actually, maybe I'm getting a bit too ahead of myself. So let's backtrack a little bit. Before the giant, okay, this is really mixing the timelines up now. Before the giant happened, Samantha was at De Rees with Maxis and Richtofen. Samantha then gets teleported alongside Dr. Maxis away from the Der Waffenfabrik De Rees facility, but the map De Rees hasn't happened yet, okay? So those events take place, Maxis presumably goes to the tunnels of Shangri-La, writes some diary entries, works on some wonder weapons, all is fine and dandy. Samantha goes to the moon. Samantha specifically runs straight into the MPD and locks herself up in there. Later, Maxis returns to the moon. He's actually brought to the moon by the scientists working there, Schuster and Groff, and he's brought there to talk to Samantha, to coerce her into coming out of the machine. What ends up happening is somebody gets shot, chaos ensues, and Maxis makes Samantha vow to kill all of them. That's all the scientists, presumably, working at the facility, and maybe even the rest of 935. Samantha jumps back into the machine, and the rest of the story arc takes place. Richtofen brings these three characters, Nikolai, Takio, and Dempsey, through the maps, through Ascension and Shangri-La and Call of the Dead. He brings them through slowly but surely, and finally, when he's got all the pieces that he's needed for so long to get Samantha out of the machine, he heads back to Moon, he plops the devices in the correct positions, and out Samantha pops. At this point, Samantha is not a happy bunny by any means. She's screaming. Your tears will taste so sweet when you beg for your miserable life. Edward, you will tremble in fear. I'll slice you apart and expose your rotten innards so you will be judged for what you have become. I will destroy you for what you have done to Daddy. She is not a happy little girl. And what does she do? Well, she wreaks some havoc on the moon. Eventually, you swap bodies with her. That's you being Richtofen. Richtofen swaps bodies with Samantha. Richtofen enters the MPD in Samantha's body. Samantha enters Richtofen's body on the moon. And then stalemate. Well, you blow up the Earth, but that's not important at all. So, we're sort of left there. And then Black Ops 2 happens, and that's fine. But it's sort of a bit ambiguous as to what's next. Is there even something next? Is there needing to be something next? Maybe not. We've got all these multiple universes now. There's plenty of potential for other Richtofens to be doing stuff on Earth, on different Earths, and dabbling around there in the meantime, while that Richtofen and that crew are on the moon. And so tying this all together, we have now, potentially, the site that was used by Richtofen, by these covert groups of scientists, to begin to build Griffin Station. Maybe this is where it all began. And does this signify, and this is the final string to the bow right now, is that even the right expression? I don't know. Anyway, moving swiftly on, is this indicative of a Moon remake? I've talked several times, I have several videos covering different pieces of evidence that there maybe be a Moon remake on the cards at some point in Black Ops 3. I don't know when, I don't know if it will happen at all, actually, really, nobody knows for sure, but there's certainly a lot of evidence pointing us in that direction. Or that evidence is pointing us towards the fact that Moon needs to be reconsidered in some way, or they're reshaping our opinion of the events that happened on the moon. The stuff that I've talked about in this video might seem somewhat irrelevant to you guys. Why am I telling you the story of Samantha going to the moon and then just sort of being left there in Richtofen's body? That doesn't seem to really go anywhere, right? That's how the community's felt about it for years at least, but maybe, now that we're getting Griffin Castle in Der Eisendrache, maybe there's going to be more to that story. I certainly hope so. I don't have time to explain any more stuff right now. I don't have time to theorize or anything. I've just got to end the video, edit this, and then get it up as soon as possible because I need to go revise. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm going to go study now. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.